Imagine you're the world's strongest hero who quite literally defeated pretty much all of the demon army all by himself. That's right, you're so strong it's theoretically impossible to defeat you, even with an army numbering in the hundreds of thousands. When the demon Queen Echidna attacked the human world together with her Elite Four and a stupid number of demon soldiers, a few elites as well as a certain knight were chosen to stop the demon army right in their tracks. However, even though other elites were strong, the knight was just that much stronger than them. He massacred demons left and right. He was a literal menace. At one point he decides to leave the other members of his party behind because they're factually inferior to him, and then he goes to destroy the entire demon army including their 4 elites and the demon queen all by himself. We're talking about Leo Demonheart, but the problem with Leo is that he was too powerful in the end. Despite the fact that he literally saved the human world, the humans had other ideas. They simply banished him from the kingdom for being so strong. That's right, folks, the greatest hero in the world gets fired. Leo now no longer has a home. He travels through the lands until one day, when he overhears how the demons are putting a lot of effort into rebuilding their army, and so Leo decides to get a job in the demon army, and just like that this story begins. Cloaked from head to toe, he enters the main castle of the demon kingdom. It was ironic everywhere. He sees there are demons working strenuously to repair the damage that he himself had done to their army, and now the very perpetrator is here looking for a job. He enters the presence of Echidna and her 4 elite generals, and then finally takes off the cloak to reveal himself. As you may expect, Echidna and her generals are taken aback, though fortunately he's not here to destroy them again. The man in question simply states that he wants a job in the demon army. He further goes on to show his resume and explains his past achievements, such as the total destruction of the demon army as well as the fact that he personally defeated Echidna in a one-on-one. And while he says that he has zero self-awareness of how some of what he said might be inappropriate anyways, the cheat now was no pushover. She shows him the door and ruthlessly tells him to piss off. However, Leo already knows that if at first you don't succeed, try and try again. It continues to show statistical studies and research papers, while explaining the fundamental fact that if he were to join them, they can easily repair the entire kingdom and no problem. But his over-the-top arrogant attitude keeps cutting on her nerves, and so she lets her middle finger do all the talking. It was obvious that whatever the man tried to say, he couldn't win over the demon queen, at least for now. When the interview with her fails, he decides to sneak up on the 4 generals. When achievement is not with them, begs them for time. Alright guys, let's take a moment to go over the 4s. We have a diligent and beautiful succubus named Steina. She specializes in sorcery. An introverted assassin named Melnus, a dragon general named Edward, and lastly there's a cute wolf girl named Lily. Leo defeated all of them in the past, so of course they're familiar with the extent of his ability, though surprisingly instead of hate or scorn they commend Leo for his unparalleled talents. Both Edward and Melnus respect him for his warrior abilities. Stina was defeated in a magic duel, and so she admires his magical prowess, but the wolf girl Lily takes respect further up a notch and considers herself Leo's future wife. Well, this is because of the primal instinct of her species. Since she was knocked out by Leo, she now sees him as her mating partner. The meeting with the 4 generals drags on as Leo once again boasts about his accomplishments, but as he explains how he defeated each of them, Leo also commends their abilities and states that if things were to go wrong he could have been defeated. Stana then asks Leo to cut to the chase and explain why he's here anyway. This is where Leo explains what happened when he returned to the kingdom after defeating Echidna. He was expecting cheers, gratitude, a warm welcome, but all he got were terrified stares full of fear. Shortly after, a rumor started circulating that Leo's planning on becoming the next demon king. Ryan said parades broke out among the people as they demanded the king to banish Leo from the kingdom. Some even tried to assassinate him, but I bet you know how that went. Lastly, the king himself summons Leo. First, he appreciates Leo for protecting both the kingdom and the Philosopher's Stone, but then explains what the people want, therefore he has no choice but to exile him. This is where Leo goes through the 5 stages of grief. He wanders through the lands without any aim or purpose before deciding to go join the demon army. He simply thought that the demon army might be the only place where others can understand him, and so he spent all night preparing his resume and gathering studies so that he could make a satisfying case and land a job in the army. But you all know the rest. The generals all listened to a story and decided to give him a chance. They'll hire him without Echidna's knowledge, so that he can produce some satisfying results before they all convince Echidna to hire him for good. He'll have to conceal his powers and also take on an alternate identity while he helps in rebuilding the army, and from the looks of it things are pretty bad, so bad that the important task of handling the logistics was assigned to Lily, who's basically a kid anyway. Leo begins helping out the demon army by adopting the identity of a random masked dark knight named Onyx. First he solves the problem of replenishing the mana reactor. Apparently Stania always had to deal with his task all by herself. Since only her wavelength is compatible with the reactor, she is currently exhausted from using so much energy all day every day. Fortunately, Leo takes care of the matter right away. Not only does he replenish it, he also makes it so magic wavelength is no longer a concern when it comes to reactor. That's right. Anyone with mana can now take care of the task, and once the matter is solved, Leo demands the kiss Stina promised if he's able to take care of the problem, but embarrasses her so much that she turns completely red. So, as it always is in the anime, she hits him instead of rewarding him with that sweet kiss. His next assignment is to do something about the shortage of food and other equipment throughout the lands. Unfortunately, the one behind logistics is Lily, and that's the problem. She's been telling everyone to just have fun instead of doing the work, and so Leo heads out to the territory of the dragon folk to help resolve things, since they are the ones who provide the army with food and other stuff. When he reaches the land, he's flabbergasted. It's a complete and utter mess. So much so that even a single shipment takes more than a week. He tells Lily about it to see if she has a good enough excuse, but as it turns out, Lily can't help it. She's just too immature for this. She does want to do better, though. This is where Leo comes up with an ingenious plan to orchestrate a character development arc for Lily. He pretends that he got poisoned by a snake bite and instructively lead to go and get some antidote herbs, though of course it isn't as simple, since Leo had already planned on creating a few obstacles in her path which she can't overcome unless she thinks astutely and also works with other demons. Though it looks like Leo severely underestimated her, legally embarks on the quest right away and starts overcoming the obstacles using a monstrous wolf transformation. Leo then disguises himself as an old man and shows up to give her a few logistical hints, but even that doesn't work as planned, since Lily ends up discovering the herbs all by herself in the end. However, he later notices that Lily benefits from the experience even though it didn't work out as planned. He realizes that as long as Lily is properly told what to do, she can make things work. That's right, all this time he was underestimating Lily. From there on out, things start working smoothly, and even Echidna is impressed by the sudden surge of improvement when it comes to the logistics. She decides to personally meet this black knight named Onyx to reward him for his efforts. The dinner takes place, and at one point she even takes off his helmet, but Leo neatly changed his face right when his helmet was getting removed, and now that he was completely in the safe zone, he asks Echidna about why she rejected the hero Leo from joining the army. This question annoys her, but she gives a surprisingly thorough reason. As it turns out, the main reason Echidna invaded the human kingdom is because of the Philosopher's Stone, but Leo didn't even let her get close to it. This statement causes Leo to think about why she'd want the stone, especially since, as far as he's concerned, the power of the stone is greatly exaggerated by the masses. However, Echidna had a noble reason for doing so. She explains that the demon kingdom is currently a wasteland. There's a pollution and awful lack of resources, which is why the demons often end up fighting each other just to survive another day. But if she can get her hands on the Philosopher's Stone, she can make their land fertile again, which will help stop the infighting among the demons, and there will be no more conflicts. She knows that the humans would never just hand it over to her, which is why she had no choice but to engage in a war. But as Leo recalls, demons purposefully held back in the war. Echidna then goes on to state that even though she doesn't like Leo for standing in her way, she still understands that it was his job to protect the humans, and so she doesn't hold it against him, but that doesn't mean she can just let him join. When she's done talking, she asks Onyx about why he decided to join the army, since she knows that he's a human. Now Leo was pretty much going to reveal the truth in the crux of the moment, but quite conveniently Stina and Lily pop up right then and state that Melnus has gone on a journey, while Edward is contemplating suicide. Things were going south, so they split the tasks. A kid and the others attempt to deal with what's going on with Edward, while Leo immediately sent out to see what Melnus is up to. It doesn't take him long to find him, but when Leo asks him what happened, Melnus's reasons for leaving are surprisingly crude but understandable. In 3 days he was going to start interviewing demons for positions in the army, but his social anxiety made him freak out, which is why he simply left. Though after sharing his reasons, he asks Leo to sell him a course on communication skills. Leo takes up the challenge, and they return to the castle. A kid is told about the situation, and as you can expect from a beautiful and mature leader, she also understands Melania's situation perfectly. Edward, on the other hand, even more difficult case. He'd been trying to kill himself, but his dragon skin made it impossible for a blade to break through, which gives him even more depression. Thankfully, his daughter named Julieta is looking after him to make sure he doesn't try anything more insane. Leo, on the other hand, makes Melnis dress as a waitress to serve soldiers in the good hall. Melnis is left with no choice but to communicate with the soldiers since there was no other way to go about it. Surprisingly, Leo reveals he was once a complete sociopath, but as time went by he learned. Anyways, when Melnis is dealing with a group of horny werewolves, they start touching his posterior. This gets on his nerves, and so he instantly gives them a lesson on discipline and respect using force. All of these experiences improved his communication skills a lot. Later, Mons and Leo engage in a conversation where he asks Leo about the real reason why he joined the demon army, since he could tell that Leo's not being honest. This is where Melnis reveals a bit more about himself. He's actually a half-human, half-demon who was trafficked through his childhood. This led into developing an insane hatred for the human race. When Echidna started recruiting for the army, he decided to join so that he could ruthlessly destroy as many humans as he could. Thanks for watching the video. For next part, make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you never miss an update. Until next time.